can easily say it's the crisis of the century. It may even be the crisis in the post-World War II era. Around half of Syrian families have had to leave their homes, even inside the country. And now we're closing in on 4 million refugees who did leave the country, and half of those refugees are children. And then if we look at the Lebanon context, around a quarter, or maybe even more now, of those refugees have come to this tiny country, which has the same population as New Zealand, oddly enough, and is now hosting well over 1 million refugees. The government estimates up to 1.5 million. It's like saying that the entire population of Greater Auckland would arrive in New Zealand over the space of just over 2 years and require somewhere to live, school for their children. For Lebanon to have withstood this kind of pressure for so long and to still remain so hospitable to what is a crisis of just almost impossible proportions. For UNICEF, our programmatic approach is very simple. I mean, we have the luxury, if I can say, of a very clear mandate, which is that all children everywhere have the same rights, and our job is to protect those rights, working in collaboration with the host government, in this case Lebanon. The resources that have been made available to us through donors responding to what is branded a refugee crisis, for us, our response has been simply a crisis to all children affected by the Syrian conflict. And that means you can be a Lebanese child affected, you can be a Palestinian child affected, or you can be a Syrian child affected. Regardless, you have the same rights, and we have the same obligation to ensure that all of those children are in school, have access to quality medical care, are protected from abuse and exploitation, and have safe water to drink. It doesn't matter where you're from. The thought that often strikes me in these settlements is that the sort of moment in the day as a parent where you connect with your child, at least for me, is at the end of the day. When you tuck them in and you're telling them a story, and there's the promise of what the next day can bring. And that's a promise that most of these parents cannot give to their children. There is just a huge question mark over what is going to happen tomorrow. What can we promise our children for tomorrow? And the answer is today, not very much. Now, we can't even promise these children that they'll still be in the same settlement tomorrow, let alone that they can go home. Because every child that you speak to, they just want to go home and start their lives again. You go from being a middle-class family to living in a field with a torn piece of plastic flapping over your head. I mean, it's 2015. I mean, this is intolerable.